Welcome back to the Hopium Den. Let's get high. Dropping a demo for a new game, Blades for Hire. Very interesting game. We are going to learn this together because I have never played before. I've watched a few videos, but of like other people demoing it, getting some ideas, but we haven't played it. So, very interesting game. Pretty much is a like strategy RPG, like role player. Combat-wise, it's pretty much auto combat, but there is some strategy in terms of what you pick your characters to do. And this is a permadeath at baseline. So when we lose people, they are gone. I think the only exception to that is tournaments. Alright, so childhood dreams. And those of you who pass all my trials shall be granted the great honor of serving me and the entire house of Urs. What is your name? Ben. Just Ben, my lord. Very good, Ben. Why are you here? To pass the trials and enter your service, my lord. Wonderful, Ben. Answer me one more question. Who let you in here? Uh-oh, Ben's about to get effed up. Remove this bastard piece of shit from my courtyard right now. Alright, well, if the dialogue in the game's already dropping shit, I guess I can pick it up too. I just try and not swear for the sake of the viewers. I know some are fine with it, but depending on the age or culturally kind of aware or how they grew up, I try and be respectful of that. What? Why? What did I do wrong? No! What's the matter, Ben? Lost something at the bottom of the mug? No, Sophia, I'm waiting for one deep enough to drown in. And how long will this go on? Until the money from the sold sword and armor runs out. After that, I'll have to borrow from you. What's all the noise? Is there some kind of celebration today? The poor are mocking the suffering of the rich. Last night, an aristocrat's estate burned down. Nothing left but ashes. The aristocrat was the Urs you know so well. Truly a celebration. No one survived. What a pity. Except for that good-for-nothing, the youngest of the Urs heirs. What a pity. The boy can't seem to grow out of playing with soldiers. But now, instead of picking elite guardsmen, he hires all sorts of rabble. He's founded a guild and takes on tasks for all kinds of the wealthy folk. But you said the estate was reduced to ashes. He has nothing left. Does it take a lot? A couple of coins? A few connections? He's probably dreamed of doing this since childhood. Did you have a dream when you were a kid? I wanted to be a court king, and you became a drunk. Go wash up or something. You reek of a month-long bender. A couple of coins, a few connections, you say. Blades for hire. Hey boys, want to make a bit of coin? This is the map of the province of Gorinth, where the events of the story unfold. Okay, that's time. Money is earned. We get it through missions. Okay, difficulty based on the color. It didn't really give me a list of what colors mean what difficulty, so we'll figure that out as we go. Alright, positioning plays a big role. Makes sense. Click on their portals, drag them. You rely on a team of specialists, each with their own role. To interact with them, click on the To the Tavern and the corresponding icon. Okay. So this is our team right now. So just looking at it, strength, agility, intelligence, charisma. Then we've got attack, endurance, crit hit chance, crit damage multiplier. Alright. So Terwin is a two-handed axe wielder. Shauna is our bowwoman. Nice. Attack the back line. I don't hate that. So stronger attack, stronger crit chance. Actually, probably because of these, she has pretty high endurance. So endurance is pretty much like defense, is another way to think of that. Rolf. I like it. Okay, we've got some heals. Robert. We got a mage. Malachi, nice two-hand, big damage, and decent endurance. Eli. Okay, find weakness is interesting. To take crit damage. So he kind of is a support, setting up bigger damage. Edeline. Okay, she is a cutthroat, so kind of like an assassin. And then we've got Clifford. And Shield Bash stuns the opponent. Not bad if we don't want to take damage from someone. More allies than opponents. Alright. So that's our team. Let's look at what we got. So the Quartermaster is where we can buy new supplies and armor. In the storage, you do have to click through the tabs for each storage respectively, but that's where you can equip things. It is pretty interchangeable in terms of, like, I can take these pants and put them on Terwin since he's a tank. The tunic gives endurance. I do not want her in the front lines much, so we shouldn't really need much defense. So again, I can keep bringing those to a tank. Let's see, who else is front lines? I think Eli's melee. So we're pretty much just going to strip her right now. We'll see. Maybe we regret that eventually. I actually might keep Eli backline if I can do the find weakness from range. We'll have to find that one out. I have no idea. Training. So more attack, better bow, health, or morale. Alright, loyalty. The red bar is our health. And then loyalty is the chance that these people like flee during combat. So Clifford doesn't have great loyalty, and Edeline has pretty low loyalty. I think we can boost that in other ways than the training. I'm thinking Shanna is going to be our big damage. Oh, we can do more than one person? Interesting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could potentially train 2 right here. So let's train... Maybe Malachi and Eli. What weapons can Eli use? I wish there was a way to kind of check. Let's train both of these in 2-hand mastery. That leaves us 6 people for whatever mission's upcoming. We're probably a little low on the damage other than Terwin. That's why I didn't pick Malachi and Terwin, because I felt like we'd be in a very poor spot damage-wise. Alright, so they're training. Going to get some damage up. That'll be nice. Ben. So we do have people we can hire. Thorvald. Man, he's going to have terrible morale with these two, but he is pretty tanky. Jack. I don't hate Jack. And his wage is 0? Oh, my barracks are full. Shoot, so I'd have to let someone go already? Alright, so he also has Find Weakness. And is a healer. Pretty low wage. So I like Roland better than Eli. They fill a similar role, but he has more. And we did get a second archer. But this is half of our money. We can't hire anyone right now anyway, unless we were to get rid of someone. And I don't want to get rid of someone off the bat. Alright, so training seems important long term. Short term, from the few things I watched, recovery helps. But traveling speed is huge, because basically you have to run all over the map. Alright, and this is kind of our main screen, seeing what we can use and when. Alright, so how do we go back? World map. We do have a mission here, and we need to position our guys. So she's got to be backline. Backline. Rolf's probably backline. I don't know if Rolf will be able to attack, but that's okay. Something like this. So, the miraculously surviving aristocrat appears to be completely lacking in imagination. His organization is simply called the Guild, and is based in Sanford, the town closest to the Ertz estate. It would be wise to find out how these people conduct their business, and Lewis already has a potential source in mind. Alright, let's see. Alright, so we'll speed it up a little while we travel over there. The mercenaries arrive at the inn at the height of the evening. The place is crowded and noisy, and the target is drinking alone at the corner table. So he is alone, hiding back there. We can approach him now with all 6 of us, but he probably has buddies in the bar, or we wait for the inn to close. So, full transparency, in the video I watched, they waited for the inn to close. I'm always open to seeing all options, even if it's a bad choice. So, maybe for the sake of learning, we're just going to make bad choices. The mercenaries sit down at Shorty's table. Looking curiously at the newcomers, his eyes slightly glazed from drink, Ollie gestures to the serving girl to fetch a few more mugs. Alright, let's drink with him first, soften him up, and then we interrogate him. Ordering a cold drink, the mercenaries start a casual conversation with Shorty. After chatting about their weather and the latest gossip, the party finishes their mugs. I don't want to get them hammered, right? Feet sloshed, who knows how it'll go, so let's proceed. Frowning in annoyance, Ollie again refuses to talk about the uncomfortable topic. With a sly squint, the former mercenary demands compensation for their valuable information. Alright, so threaten or pay him gold. I don't have gold to spend this. It looks like we're going to lose maybe morale? What's the shield icon for? Maybe loyalty? Probably loyalty, because that's the same color as the bottom bar. The junker jumps to his feet, knocking over the table. He is suddenly joined by several other locals, clearly eager for some entertainment. Alright. Figured that would happen going to the bar, but always down. So here's our intro to combat. Depending on circumstances, battles may have modifiers. An ambush allows one side to perform an extra opening round of attacks. A brawl always ends without lasting injuries to the mercenary. Bruised egos don't count. Alright. So this is good to know. This is a brawl, so no one should permadie. Before combat begins, you can assign a tactic to each mercenary. During battles, tactics can be changed at any time, but the change will only take effect once that mercenary's turn comes around. Morale changes throughout the battle based on different factors, like certain tactics or landing a crit. Morale reflects a fighter's willingness to stay in the fight. At 90%, there's a 10% chance they retreat. A fighter with 100% is guaranteed to stay in the battle. Combat can be sped up, slowed, paused. Okay. Hero flees. No, not starting with that. Any way to inspect these guys, what damage they're doing? Nope, not really. Alright, so unfortunately, yes, we want opportunists. Let's keep chipping down whoever's lowest. That makes sense. And more damage is more damage. And magic missile. That does cost a mana. We have 10 mana. I don't think those regenerate, but we'll find out. Alright, this is probably the speed we want. Well, we're figuring it out. So, the red with the polka dots is our shield. I'm going to have to get shield on... Man, I can't remember her name. Looks like we're doing okay in this brawl fight so far, as long as she stops getting attacked. Oh, he's so close to dying. We had to taken significant... Alright. I think it's Edelyn, so she bailed. So morale's a huge issue for her. And now since she bailed, I don't have enough damage to finish off Homeboy. So it makes a big difference when you lose someone. Man, that guy was like 1 health the whole time. Alright, got some XP. We did use 4 mana, so he's down to 6. Let's keep an eye if that recovers or not. A brief but furious scuffle finally comes to an end. The innkeeper... Sorry. I got an important text. Alright, not that important. A brief but furious scuffle finally comes to an end. The innkeeper, having had enough, throws everyone out, threatening to call the guards if anyone returns. Irritated from their fun, was cut short. The former adversaries quickly find a common ground outside in the fresh air. After wandering the city for a while in the company of their new companions, the mercenaries finally leave them at the entrance of another seedy establishment. During the walk, the former mercenary shares the story of his ill-fated service in Ben's rival organization, revealing everything the party needed to know. Mission accomplished. As they part ways, the mercenary asks why people call the informant Shorty, since he's actually average height. He mutters something about it not being about his height. You know what they say about foot size. And walks off, looking rather sad. That's unfortunate, man. Alright, so this was their recruitment. We already checked this out. Our biggest limiting thing is space. It seems like they randomly roll their skills or attributes and stats, so we'll keep an eye on that. A level, equipment, and traits to dismiss. Alright, so we can get rid of people, but I don't want to dismiss anyone early. We're hanging out here to the tavern. Oh, these guys are all still on a mission, I believe, so I don't think I can do anything here with them. And I didn't get anything or any gold. So let me go back to the world. Let's see. So they returned. Okay, we go back to the tavern. Are we done training? Not quite. So every time we go to the tavern, it looks like it actively pauses the day. Okay. Nice. I still really want to hire Jack for the crit. There's no need to explain the concept of health, but it's worth mentioning that if it drops to 0, they die permanently, never to be resurrected, ever. With rare exceptions, health only regenerates while idling at the tavern. Nice. Beer gives health. Love it. Or I guess maybe mead at this time. Loyalty reflects their dedication. We talked about this. So strength increases damage dealt with melee weapons and sometimes range. Agility affects defense, crit, and initiative order. Okay, so agility matters for initiative. That's good to know. Intelligence boosts spell damage. If a mercenary isn't a mage, high intelligence won't be very useful. So we want dummies in the front line. Got it? That's kind of rude, but... And then charisma helps avoid unnecessary conflict, but it won't help much once the fighting starts. Mental stats influence how a mercenary's loyalty changes during quest decisions. For example, when making illegal choices, mercenaries with lawfulness above 5 will lose loyalty. Mercenaries with low lawfulness will gain it. Bravery affects morale during combat. Attack determines the damage dealt with each strike. Defense. It's interesting that they called endurance in one screen and then defense here. And then resistance decreases damage. Mercenaries are paid weekly. Late payments are a blow to loyalty. Alright. So he did come back to 10. That's good to know. Those are all contracts. We're going to need contracts for money. Barracks is more. Alright, so that boosts how much we heal. I think we need to make a little money first before we make decisions. Do we have anything else? Yes, we do. Since the business has yet to gain momentum and every coin counts, Louis suggests borrowing a small batch of weapons from one of the local warehouses. Judging by what you know about the quality of the guards, the equipment won't be anything special, but it will do for now. Alright, I'd like to bring Eli, but he's still hurting. Let's see, let's keep Clifford in the middle. Shauna, you're our big DPS in the back row. He got that injured during training? That's wild. She needs to be frontline. I like her attack of opportunity. Man, these guys all got hurt during training. Terwin too. I guess we stick with this, and then we try and reincorporate the other guys here soon. Alright, we should be already traveling there. We do have another mission out in Swanford here soon. The party arrives at a warehouse in a slum on the outskirts of Venzor. The city is asleep, and the moonlight barely breaks through the cloudy sky, casting a dim glow on the deserted streets. Examine the building. The main door is locked, and the window on the first floor are boarded up. Windows. On the second floor, a window is ajar, and no light shines from within. Well, I think breaking in is kind of dumb, so let's climb in. Success! Using a rope they wisely brought along, the mercenaries haul themselves through the open second floor window. Inside, the darkness is oppressive, and the only sound is a loud snore echoing through the quiet space. We look for equipment. The party makes its way to the storage room and begins searching. They don't find anything particularly valuable, but they manage to gather some basic gear for men in a dangerous line of work. Ooh, we got one guy who wants to keep looking, and we want everyone else to dip. We keep looking. After a bit more searching, the party uncovers not only a crate of better quality gear, but also a small bag of coins. Holy cow, Malachi loves this. Everyone else is like, get the F out. I think we leave now. We're going to wake him up. Do we want to wake him up just to see what happens? No, I can't. So I would do this. I really would, because I'm very curious about the outcome. But let's say we wake up the guards, and it's a 6v6 fight. After this decision, Clifford and our assassin are both dipping. So we're in a 4v6, our first real fight. So as much as I want to make this choice for the sake of just learning the demo and kind of making bad choices and seeing what happens, I can't do this. The loyalty is just too low. I have to leave. Not wanting to push their luck, the mercenaries returned with whatever they managed to grab. We talked about the supply, tend to sell out, stocks replenished weekly. To equip and unequip, we kind of showed that by dragging it around. And then the stats. Alright, so there are multipliers, so those are pretty important to scale damage. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, the health that replenishes immediately after battle. The percent of incoming damage that is negated. Dexterity penalty makes sense. If you're not agile, then you're going to get hit. Yeah, kind of my only thing based on the demo of this game that's a little just keeps the brain going is like here it says agility penalty, here it's dexterity penalty, here it's endurance, some places they call it defense. Like if you've played enough of these games, it's still very intuitive and you're like, oh, okay, I get what they're going for. But I think for like newer players, just kind of making sure that wording perfectly aligns, if that is the developer's goal, would be helpful. All right. We got to keep the time going. I kind of wish it just auto went. I think maybe it's only the tutorial pausing it. The mercenaries brought back. All right, swords, mace, hatchet, shields. Let's go. So let's go to the tavern and see about equipping our things. So if we go to the shield, we should now have 2 here. She has a 1 hand, so we can give her a shield. And our other frontliner, I think Malachi's 2 hands, Clifford's 1. Is this a 1 or a 2 hand? Looks like a 1 hand. Is Terwin 1 or 2? Alright, so we can give it to Terwin. Alright, I like that. And then we got a few short swords. So hatchet. Mace does big damage. Crit damage multiplier is huge. Strength. Okay, so at the very bottom it says 2-handed under the agility modifier. Now, do these guys have proficiency with certain weapons? Not that I'm seeing. Not that I'm seeing, it just... their weapon choices should be based on their stats. So I'm actually going to give the mace to Malachi, because then I can maybe give him the worn shield, and Malachi now is a good tank. Strength and agility, those are the exact same. Her opportunist needed certain weapons. Dagger, bow, so she's got to stay where she is. Rolf, the stat makes sense. I'm not going to rock the boat there. Eli, I don't know that the club makes sense for him. Probably the sword's just better. Oh, okay, so he can sell for money. That's nice. Alright, so lots of options to buy better equipment. It looks like pretty much the things that give resistance also are the big ones for the agility penalty. that's good to know. Alright, those are fairly expensive. I don't want to get into those yet. Back to training. Did these guys heal? No. How do I get rid of lacerations? Probably just resting here a second. If we're going to rest for a hot second, maybe we train up some one-hand mastery. And then we just hang out for a day. Alright, so the one thing is I just gave him two-hand mastery and then put a one-hand weapon, and I did the exact same with Malachi. Yeah, I messed that up. I mean, pretty much everyone is going to use one hand. So let's train these three. And then we got to go back here. Oh, so my guy's training. I can't steal stuff. That's good to know. We keep Malachi two-hand because we just gave him a bonus. What's he look like? 41? And if we give him the maze, 30. Yeah. Alright, so the staffs are only one hand. That's good to know. Alright. We're looking okay. I'm not going to take on a mission. I'm just going to fast forward a day pretty much till people come back. Moments later, Lewis bursts into the tavern, beaming with joy, and rushes straight to Ben. According to the information trader, he managed to catch wind of a golden opportunity, one that promises a hefty profit. The Merchant Guild is looking for armed specialists to escort a large caravan from the capital. Normally, this would be handled by contracted members of the city guard, but the contract was recently cancelled by decree of Lord Viceroy Cunningham. Whether the ruler needed his men elsewhere or the merchants fell in disfavor is unknown. The important part is that the high-paying niche has just opened up. All that remains is to obtain a license to conduct such activities. Fortunately, Lewis has a contact in the city chancery who agreed to review Ben's application out of turn. Naturally, the right qualifications and a proper sum of gold were enough to get the license approval. All that's left is Ben's signature, and his people can officially take on a cushy and profitable job. As soon as Ben lifts his quill from the document, Lewis snatches the poor paper from his hands and bolts out the tavern door, shouting that competitors must have had the same idea. With a final request that Ben prepare a capable team to escort the caravan, the information trader vanishes through the doorway. Good. So we just got everyone training. We finished that. So hang on, let's slow this down. Alright, let's look now and see where we're at. Eli, because I trained? No, he is healing slowly. He just hasn't gotten rid of his lacerations. Why does everyone have them? That's wild. Interesting. So Clifford is not very strong, so I don't love the mace on him, but it's still better than the short sword. She's got to stick with the knife. Alright, so we're going to go timber axe here. Is that two-handed? No. Alright. And then we give the shield. Shield there. He does bigger damage. You know, I actually think I do this. It's a little less damage, but I really like this find weakness skill. So my team will be Eli, Edelin, Rolf, Boom, and maybe Clifford? I think, no, I gotta figure out how to keep Malachi in there. Alright, interesting. Same guys. still like a couple of them for different reasons, but we're going to wait. What else can we upgrade? So, training sounds good. Let's do barracks, just because I want to show off the game. I want to hire more people. Granted, it'll make me go broke faster, so it might not be my best choice. Weekly contracts are how we make money, so I think you gotta spend money to make money. Alright, to the world. Well, this is all we got right now. A poster with the distinctive features of a notorious thief known as Crooked hangs outside the city guard post. There's a reward for catching the villain. It sounds like a good way to earn some gold. Alright, Robert. We want Malachi, he's huge damage. Clifford is our best tank. We need Shauna. And I kind of want to bring Eli for the vulnerable, maybe more than Rolf right now. We see how this goes. The party arrives at the local guard post to get more details about the wanted man. One of the guards reluctantly shares that the thief has a history of stealing valuables from wealthy households. The items usually turn up later on the black market, but the source has never been traced. According to the guard, the local wealthy residents finally got tired of ransoming their family heirlooms and joined forces and hired an artist to create posters featuring the thief's face. When asked where the image of such an elusive criminal came from, the guards admit he doesn't know. The irritated guard says no one has time to deal with the case right now. If the rich have enough money to pay some scribbler, they'd be better off hiring a private investigator or sponsoring the city guard. When the mercenaries claim they are private investigators, the guard gives them a scornful look. Still, he tells them how to find the house Blackmarsh, who organized the other aristocrats for the joint effort. To Blackmarsh we go. Richard Blackmarsh is found at his estate. He even deigns to receive the uninvited guests in his office almost immediately, apparently encouraged by the stated reason for their visit. After glancing over the group, the aristocrat faintly wrinkles his nose, but gestures for them to speak. When the mercenaries once again introduce themselves as private investigators, the reaction is somewhat more positive. Alright, Grumpy Gills. Inquire, ask for an advance. Alright, so stolen items. He eagerly describes the missing possessions, casually estimating the total loss at several hundred gold pieces. Blackmarsh Sr. says he never saw the thieves himself. His cousin Corwin was in charge of putting together the description. Corwin is most likely working at the town chancery. You gonna give me a little cash? This probably isn't gonna go well, but we send it. He listens with a mocking smile, then suggests the party enlist in the city guard instead. What a D-bag. Go to his cousin. After saying goodbye to the aristocrat, the party leaves the estate. At the town chancery, the guards let the mercenaries in only reluctantly, and the official they're looking for seems quite busy, judging from the long line. Everyone likes to cut? Heck yeah. Success. The mercenaries rudely shove the others aside and enter the office. The official glares at them over his papers and asks with a disgruntled tone what they want. Explain yourself. Upon hearing the explanation, Corwin brightens up and invites the party to ask any questions relevant to their investigations. States that it wasn't he who gave the description to the artist, but his son-in-law Hubert. The man is probably relaxing in his favorite tavern, the Boar and Peacock, just a few blocks away. Corwin provides an exhausted list of what he's missing. Noticing the mercenaries' eyes glaze over, he transcribes everything onto paper and hands it to them. You gonna pay me a little bit? Yeah, that sounds right. Alright, brother-in-law time. Leaving the bureaucrat, the party heads to the tavern. They find a man sitting at a private table in the company of a couple of overpainted women and a pile of empty bottles. Clearly intoxicated, Hubert tries to wave the mercenaries away, but instead drops his mug to the floor. While the drunkard searches under the table, the party quickly explains why they dared to interrupt his leisure time. Ask about an advance. Hiccups unhappily and hands over 5 gold coins, so the drunkard's the one who will pay me. Alright, at least she gets some morale. Description. Declares he never even met the artist person. It must have been Richard who gave the description. So they just went in a full circle and no one knows. Sure, an exaggerated list. It's unlikely that he had stolen not just family jewels, but also the tea set from the aristocrat's late grandmother and the cabinet it was stored in. Sounds like Hubert might be stealing stuff to buy his drink. But I won't judge. Oh, he's irritated now. So we return. The party decides not to waste time on the drunkard and returns to Richard. The aristocrat is outraged and tells the detectives to speak directly to the artist to find out who gave the description. He also offers some unfiltered options about negligent fools who distract hardworking people with nonsense. We leave the inhospitable manor. To the artist. It's got to be this guy, right? There's fake descriptions all over. At the specified location on the outskirts of the city, the party finds the artist's house. Like the rest of the neighborhood, the city has clearly seen better days. The building. It appears that whatever the artist was paid by the rich, it wasn't enough to fix the roof. Yikes. The party finds the artist sorting through some jewelry. Nice. When he notices the armed visitors, he quickly sweeps the valuables into a bag, but not before the mercenaries spot a couple of items that match the description of the stolen heirlooms. Noticing the sudden change in their expression, the artist decides it's time to make a swift exit through the nearest window. Success. We give chase. The party rushes outside after the fugitive. They quickly catch and subdue him, then return the weakly resisting man to the house and tie him to a chair. After a few persuasive arguments, the artist confesses. He's a thief named Crooked. Deciding to make extra money from the rich, he planted the idea of wanted posters on Black March Sr. via third parties, paid some street artists to draw a random stranger, and then distributed copies. To sow confusion, he told each wealthy victim that someone else had supplied the description. When finished, he offers to share his earnings in exchange for his freedom. Everyone likes screwing over the rich other than our mage. And we get 50 gold. What are we thinking? I'm kind of with everyone, man. Let's pull a little Robin Hood action. Steal from the rich, give back to the poor, which is us, since Ertz or Unz already was dirty to us. I'm leaning towards agree. Let's run it. Sorry I keep taking so many drink breaks. I went for a run with my niece this morning, and I am out of shape, and now I'm a thirsty boy. Deciding the greedy aristocrats got what they deserved, the party accepts a hefty pouch of gold from Crooked with grim satisfaction. Grim, you gonna join us? Hey, we got some levels. Alright. Quick pause. Pest control. Honest work. Let's see what we get for leveling up. Alright, gotta be double shot, right? Attacks twice, requires a bow, recharge time is 3 turns. So we start off with a double attack, and then we can pick off whoever's weakest with Edeline. She's got some toned arms. Okay, Michelle Obama. Just kidding, I don't want to get this political. Alright, so we click once, and then we go here. Alright, good old Bob Barker. Acid Bomb. Deals damage to 4 adjacent targets at once, and in 4 subsequent rounds. Damage to all enemy targets. I wish I knew how much damage. I know it's based on intelligence. I like this because they don't have to be adjacent, and it's just insta damage. Acid Bomb, my guess is it's less damage. But like the damage over time versus mass destruction, like if someone's weak, he can just smite everyone. There's no info on like the mana cost. It looks like I can do this every turn, but let's just go for a big AoE mage. Reduces attack by 50%, ignores defense, inflicts bleeding over 4 rounds. Alright, so this is another way we could actually pick our target. That we're targeting the guy with the strongest attack. But I like that I can target the person with the least health. So we're going to go Bloodletting. Does that really make sense? Because we're attacking whoever has the least health and putting on bleed over time, right? We really want to bleed the strongest guy over time. But I can't pick both those. I think we still stick with the bleed. It gets past defense, which seems big in this game. And good old Cliff. What do we got, Clifford? Defense, attack, attack, defense. We need a tank. Alright. Nice. Good turn there. Let's go back to the tavern. Where are we at with this? Not quite. Nice. We made money this week. We're in the green, baby. Oh, these guys are new, I believe. Alright. Sander Webster. So we got another mage with mass destruction. Very expensive. I don't mind another archer. Deals damage to the target with the most health equal to 50%. That's low-key pretty good, but mages are super expensive. Dang, so I lost my pirate. That's good to know. So we do have to keep an eye on the day and week. We didn't do any fighting. I'm going to stick with the same team. Let's do something else. Alright, so 2 on each of these, so I don't have much time to complete these. Red, I'm guessing, is difficult. Green is easy. What's the skull? Bob Barker, and we keep Cliff in the middle. You received an order of lumber from the nearest forest. Mercenaries arrive at the site, somewhat unsure if the job is really suited to them. The client turns out to be the owner of a nearby sawmill. Was that it? Ben's latest attempt to drown himself in a mug of booze is interrupted by Lewis, who sits down next to him at the bar. The information trader tells him he's been contacted to be a representative of an insurance guild that has a problem with Ertz Guild. The man is willing to pay for arranging insured events for Ben's enemy, and Lewis already has a suitable agent in mind. The only catch is he'll have to pay up front. Yeah, let's do it. Figuring no money should be spared for such a good cause, Ben pulls out a dozen coins from his wallet. After saluting his boss, Lewis agrees to negotiate. Honest work. Wow. What's this? Oh, fatigue. Interesting. After a full day of hard labor, prepares to have completed the contract, the client arrives in high spirit, causing envy. Submit the results. Total strength. Let's go. Failure? Man, we were pretty strong too. That's unfortunate. Alright, we gotta slow that down. That's too aggressive. We're already in day 3 this week. And we did lose the pest control. Alright, we go to the mage wedding. We're gonna stick with the same crew. So, hindsight's 2020. I would probably buy, I guess I can do it right now. Let's go to the cavern. We need stuff to last longer. Oh, but I have to do this first, and then this. Alright, I don't want to go too far down that road. This gives us more options. I like that. Let's get this. That's pretty cheap. We're not going to train anyone quite yet. Who are we not bringing? We're typically not bringing Rolf and Terwin. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any penalty, so I might as well train these guys since I'm not bringing them. And then we go down here. To the wedding. Alright, Lewis says the man he hired painted the walls of the building where Ut's Guild is located. The painted depicted the head of the organization in an unflattering manner, and the paint used was actually horse manure. Unfortunately, it seems worse things happened regularly in the part of Swanford, so no one paid much attention to the artwork. Nevertheless, it was possible to get a small compensation from the insurance company for the effort. So we can roll the money forward or we can take it. We're doing okay financially right now. So let's keep things going. Determined to keep going, Ben instructs to use the gold he's obtained to cause even more significant problems for Ertz and his guild. I guess maybe it's Erz. I'm throwing a T in there, like good old Zach Ertz. Alright, so Erz. Upon arrival, the party finds preparations for the ceremony in full swing. The riverside settlement is decorated with colorful ribbons and flowers. The local elder, wearing a visibly relieved expression, offers the mercenary a chance to rest before the event. We do have some fatigued people, so let's take a nap. The party follows the elder's advice and spends a couple hours in his home regaining his strength. Eventually, his daughter enters the room where the mercenaries are resting and informs them the celebration is about to begin. The party heads to a house on the opposite shore, where a number of guests have already gathered in the courtyard. The elder, visibly nervous, asks the mercenaries to station themselves at the entrance by keeping an eye on the proceedings to prevent any misunderstandings. Of course, the celebration is far from the scale of a public sermon or an execution, but there are clearly more attendees than the village could house, and more guests keep arriving, all passing under the mercenaries' watchful gaze. Most are dressed appropriately, though certainly not lavishly. Hearing the officiating priest announce the arrival of the newlyweds, the mercenaries turn their attention to the couple. An elderly pair, decent-looking and adorned with floral wreaths, stand smiling beside the minister of the one. After taking in the scene, the party returns to their duties. The celebration is loud, but the guests behave with surprising calm. This may be due to the near-total absence of young people and the near-total absence of alcohol. Sounds like a boring wedding. Growing bored while waiting for something to happen, the mercenaries spot a small procession, about a dozen people, young peasants by the look of them, approaching from the bridge, armed with sticks and pitchforks. They slow as they approach the entrance, eyeing the mercenaries with confusion. One of the larger peasants steps forward and declares they've come to pay their respects to the guest of Mills. Everyone wants to let them pass. That seems like a terrible choice. But I kind of want to see what happens. Bad choices, here we come. With a shrug, the mercenaries allow the peasants through. After all, what harm could a handful of bumpkins do against a few dozen mages? Prepared for some sort of spectacle, the party watches as the peasants push past the guests and head towards the newlyweds. The general chatter dies down as the crowd's attention shifts. At last, reaching their destination, the troublemakers freeze, their eyes fixed on the newlyweds. After an awkward silence, the peasant leader mumbles a half-hearted congratulation, then leads the procession back out the same way they came. The guests, visibly puzzled, soon return to their celebration. As the peasants pass the mercenaries, they flood the party with questions. It turns out someone in the village has spread a rumor that rich youths from the capital were throwing a lavish party, paying off the elder for both the venue and the people. Fearing the sort of debauchery aristocrats are known for, the peasants had come to shut it down. But instead of a wild party, they found the quiet wedding full of elderly folk. The mercenaries share a story about a toll mana takes on health and appearance. When the peasants realize that many of the guests might actually be their own age, they become even more confused. Thanking the mercenaries, they shuffle off towards the village, loudly debating how best to deal with that blabbermouthed Greg. Uh-oh, Greg, they're coming for you. Laughing at the bizarre encounter, the party returns to their duties. Dusk begins to fall. The feast gradually dies down, and the guests start to leave. Just as the mercenaries are about to head to the elder for the promised payment, having given up hope of anything noteworthy happening, they hear a muffled explosion from the direction of the house. Rushing to the scene, the party bursts into the building and finds the elder, his face twisted with worry, tending to the body of the newlyweds. A massive hole with charred edges gapes in the wall of the building. Find out what happened. Nervously glancing around, the elder explains in a dazed voice that one of the guests apparently went mad from unrequited love for the bride. The man had sat quietly through the ceremony, then challenged the groom to a duel for the lady's hand. When the groom predictably refused, the jilted guest exploded with rage, literally. After launching an attack, he blasted through the wall and fled towards the village. The elder pleads with the mercenaries to stop the mad sorcerer before he causes more harm. Man, everyone wants to refuse. My people love bad decisions. Yeah, pay us a little more. The desperate elder readily agrees to double the initial payment. Wasting no time, the cheerful mercenaries set off in the direction of the settlement. Rattling their weapon and boots, the party run towards the bridge. As they cross the river, the mercenaries see the roofs of the houses light up with a flash for a moment. Another explosion sounds from deep within the settlement. Upon reaching the source of the noise, the party sees a dilapidated house engulfed in flames, with the bodies of several peasants lying in front of them. The silhouette of a man is leaning over them. He clutches his head and howls unintelligibly about the unfairness of the world and his own fate. Yeah, we're going to ambush him. Suddenly falls down silently and turns to the party, revealing in the dim moonlight his face contorted with malice. The mercenaries barely have time to scatter in different directions before a huge fireball hits the spot where the group had been standing. The madman doesn't seem to be in the mood for negotiation. Alright, let's bleed him first. Actually, we're going to attack him no matter what, so we do that. We only got one guy, so let's just stun him. I guess we just keep stunning, we find weakness, magic missile, and we double strike. Oh, dang. Alright, so our archer definitely, Shauna has the highest agility, that makes sense. After dealing with the sorcerer, the party returns to the elder to finally receive the payment. An alarm bell is ringing from the settlement, and the locals are trying to put out fires. The mercenaries take their hard-earned money and hurriedly leave Mills, hoping never to return here again. Alright, let's get back to the tavern. We could hire more people, but I'm thinking we end the video here. None of these guys are too interesting. I cannot spend all my money on a mage right now. I would like another archer, but I've got 3 backline units, so unless I'm going to replace one, there's no point there. And I do like Elias a lot as a tank. He actually would probably be my best tank. Well, he's pretty weak, but good endurance, and the resistance is real high, so he's going to take significantly less damage. 2%, 1%. Eli's 10%. But I think we stick with our team for now. We'll start off. I'll do another episode of this. I really enjoyed it. So if you enjoyed it as well, drop a like, consider subbing to the channel. We're going to keep demoing new games, some old games, just to see how you guys enjoy it. And then at a time, I'll try and keep one series going of a playthrough. So hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again soon.